Da-da-da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, everybody. I thought I had a little bit of a wrench being thrown into my engine there. I had and was determined to make sure that I was in here at 9 o'clock. And it's something that I want to try and do. Come in a little bit earlier. It's really good for me when I'm in bed, by 11 o'clock. It's something I was getting kind of used to in my routine. My timings for when I get up in the morning, it doesn't change, right? So when I'm finishing my live show, say at 1 o'clock in the morning, and then I think, oh, I got to do the thumbnail and I've got to review it and watch it and take the lesson in for myself, that it can get late sometimes. And that's not a good routine because I'm still going to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning. And that's 5 hours sleep. Do I need those extra couple of hours? I don't know, right? Because I've been doing that now for quite a while, I think for at least 6 months, right? Having the live show, having the podcast be presented right before I go to bed. It's the last thing I do before I go to bed. There are always little tidy ups and things that I like to do too. And like I said, by the time I've got the whole podcast all set up so it's ready to be posted in the morning, I'm getting some sleep. I'm getting there. I'm feeling tired quite often, even when I come in at 2 minutes to midnight. And I can tell you, at least 2 or 3 hours is just, well, 2 hours. Because I always say, well, I'm going to go in at 10 o'clock tonight. And then I'll always show up at 11. But more often than not, lately, I've been coming in at quarter to 12. Today it was right on the button because I messed something up there and I thought I had lost the podcast and I thought I was going to have to start over. So I was a little bit anxious when I come in. But that is technology. That is AI learning. That is part of the process that we kind of mess up along the way. And we learn by those mistakes, right? Quite know what I did. All I know is I did come offline a little bit, but that's all good, right? We're here now. We're going to settle in. I haven't come out of that wiriness that I have when I'm editing video. I'm going to be posting my first video tomorrow from my 2025 Provincial Park Ontario tour that I did this year. And, if you want to come in and watch it, it's going to be an hour and 2 minutes long. That's just one of them. So maybe some of the other trips, because I filmed the whole time, that maybe I'll split them into a part one and part two. Maybe post them at the same time, but not in one great big long swoop. It's really hard for people, to sit through an hour. But I know for the content that I take in for myself, that quite often, I've got to go for appointments or I'm so tired, it's time to go to bed. But I'm in something good, right? But I'll close it down anyway. But because I haven't finished it, it's resuggested to me. And that happens most often than not. So hopefully, maybe, I don't know. We're just playing it by ear, but I'm just coming out of editing my video. It is done. I just need to render a couple of frames and then I'm going to export it. And tomorrow when I get up, I'm going to post it. I already have the introduction done in the community post there. So I'll be posting that. It'll be really easy. It'll just be a matter of waiting for it to be processed. But things are processed so fast now. I remember when I first started on YouTube. I'm going all over the place tonight, but I remember the first time I started on YouTube, and that was 10 years ago, you guys, when I first started on YouTube. Technology wasn't even close to being where it was right now. I think I was shooting some of my footage in 320 even, right? 720 was high definition. I guess it's sort of kind of still considered the same. But now with you got your 1080, you got your 4K and your 5K and your 8K, like, right? It's just getting better and better and better. I think in the moment, in the stage that I'm in, it's more important for me to have this documented, right? That at some point along the line, because I believe even though Cindy's not coming back, those other parts of me are coming back, and I might be. Hello, Earl. Oh my goodness. Nice to meet you, dear. I don't think I've seen you in this live show. Maybe in the chatters, but I haven't seen you in the What's My Good Cheer. But I'm a little wiry. I just came out of editing a video. I'm just going to post it tomorrow. I just finished a trip. I go uh, on a road trip every September. Hello, Hannah. Hello, Hannah. I go on a trip every September and I film the experience because it's part of the learning experience for me. It's that documentation that I was talking about because I'm going to be 80, 90, 100 years old, right? And I'm going to entertain myself. I'm going to come in. Maybe not. Maybe I'll be a little bit embarrassed by coming into some of my old content, but that is what it is. It's technology, that movement, that things are always getting better and better and better. We're not filming in 320 anymore, right? Nobody's using the Kodak cameras anymore, right? It's that innovation that is in every aspect of our lives, and that is so the truth. Just going to the grocery store is such an experience these days, right? Going through the self checkout and in the scanning codes and stuff that you right, you can get all that information, all that AI that's moving so fast because it learns faster than we do, right? It doesn't feel like we do, but it learns like we do. And it's learning so fast. We'll never ever be able to keep up. Well, maybe not in the recent future, but maybe somewheres down the line because things are moving just incredibly fast, just incredibly fast. And, it's something I have been taking note of. And, also being not technically inclined, I'm taking extra note of it because I'm saying, oh, I can't do that. Oh, I wish I could do that. All I'm doing is saying, oh, one day I'll be able to hire somebody who can do that, right? Because that's how fast information moves. By the time you learn one thing, it's already expanded and moved into something else. Like, I went to see Spider-Man with my sister just a few months ago, and the technology, like the movie, was completely digital. It was right. The actors were there, but maybe the actors weren't because, in AI um, sphere, that these what do you call them, avatars are absolutely everywhere, and they trick me all the time. I'm determined not to be immersing myself in content that is AI generated because being an empath, right? Being an empath, we have to see it. We have to feel it because that's how we learn. That's how we feel people out. That's just our coping and safety mechanisms that we built up as kids, right? That you know we need to see what's real. For me, I love YouTube for specifically that reason, because I have to see the truth, right? I just can't have information given to me and me have to take that in as a truth, right? And it's not necessarily that stuff that's online is the truth, but if I can see the presentator, right, I can see whether they're lying or telling the truth. I can tell if they're nervous, or I can tell if they're overly excited, or if they're standoffish. The more you stick with people, the more you can pick up along the way. It just reminding me of a lady that I follow. She's in thought leadership, but she wasn't always in thought leadership. She was a CIA secret agent. Like her name is Evie Pompuris. So smart, but she's trained to be that way, right? And she would be in the top tier when it comes to technology and AI learning, because it would be something that would be very important, right? To have that instant information on somebody, and not only the instant information in that AI or in the digital, but to be able to be maybe possibly an empath herself, and to be able to feel out and talk and receive from somebody, and right, be able to get a book full of information, right? It's how we work. It's right. I didn't create, well, I guess in the end I created it because it was my safety net, right? It was something that kept me safe, but there was truly no legitimate reason for it to have to come into place. It's, some of us, we grow up in dynamic families, and we pick up, they call them gifts now, right? Uh, they do come in useful, but I think sometimes they make us a little bit judgmental, possibly. Um, I think it would also make us a little bit standoffish of people, right? Because well, we are looking to be safe. We don't want to be uh, um, around characters that will draw us into circumstances or experiences that might cause us harm emotionally, physically, mentally, and it happens all the time, right? And I learned lots from this lady, and it's not because I need to be in anybody's business, but in some ways I do, because again, it's how I learn, it's how I understand, and even in my own showing up here, because I wouldn't ask anybody to share anything that I wouldn't be willing to share myself, especially when I'm online, right? When I'm online, because you don't know who's going to pick up that information and use it, and whether it's good information or bad information. That's why we need to be able to fill out our thought leaders, right? That's why politicians get the stage, right? So they can put their, right? That's when you want to be school president, class president, right? You put yourself out there so that people can get to know you. People can decide for themselves whether or not they trust you, right? Yeah, so I don't know why I got into it. Obviously, it had to do with me, right? Taking in that information and being adamant that I'm not taking in the AI. Lately, because we are moving in, I can feel in the voice too. So if it's just a picture or a blank slate, then I could just concentrate on the listening and then I can pick up that way. But lots of times in this AI creation, they're creating a story, they're create characters that you can see, and then they're talking and giving the information that they want through their own voices, right? And that makes it hard because being somebody who loves the dazzle and amaze, I can get wrapped up in a visual story, right? But a visual story is not true. There are these little Instagram posts on Instagram, and they're little cat stories, right? And they're all AI generated, but they're little love stories or betrayal stories and right family stories, but they do them in the characters of cats. And I got sucked into watching those. I usually come across those every second day or something. All I've been watching is something new in my content for the past couple of weeks, and it's going to end really fast because it's creative. It got me by the dazzle and the maze, by the creativeness of the AI generated characters, that it is fascinating, but it's not truth, right? It's not truth, it's fantasy. And the thing is, right, I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for, well, there was something that came across my mind and I says, no, it's facts and amazing strange stories. Like it's I want to see it. I want to feel out the truth for myself. I'd much rather watch a documentary. I'd much rather listen to thought leadership like Evie, 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 EVY. So I think it's Evie Pompuris. But yeah, super smart. And I feel her out and I can see that she is just going by the book. And I love that because that's like factual, isn't it? Right? She doesn't put her own personality. I'm a little bit different. I put my personality into it because I'm creating the best human being I possibly can. I'm not creating the best CIA secret agent, right? That genuine that I bring to the table, right? And nobody's 100% genuine, but that right, that Cindy that I bring to the table is for connection, right? And it's for you to feel me out, right? Because I suspect that I'm going to attract people, right, that are feelers, people who are experiencers. In truth, I feel there's only two kinds out in the world, and those are the seekers and the feelers. And I think the seekers and the feelers really should be paired up together, right? Because the seeker will always keep the experiencer, because the experiencer is usually the empath, right? Usually the highly sensitive, and they've always got their heels dug into the ground. But a seeker will always keep the experiencer motivated, right? Always keep them moving. And then the opposite way again, because the seeker is always seeking, that sometimes they forget that they're actually human. They're having, right? They're human and they miss out so much in life. And the one thing about, right, highly sensitive and empaths, we appreciate any little bit of goodness. And for me, goodness is life itself. I it's difficult as it is, even though I'm reading and editing video through my wax paper lenses, right? I destroyed my glasses on my camping trip, and I'm gonna have to dish out a little bit to get a new pair of glasses. I have no idea how it's going to happen, but it is going to happen. And I trust in that, right? Right? It things work out the way that they're supposed to work out. And I think sometimes, I think, and that's not necessarily control on my end and being hyper vigilant, because the only thing I'm doing is looking out for my own well being. I'm only looking out to see if I'm safe. But, right, like I said, we can become a little bit judgmental in that, because then we think we're some kind of smarty pants that right has the inside scoop, that knows better, that we see something that somebody else doesn't see. And that's not necessarily true, because we're so hyper vigilant, we see every little thing, every little teeny thing. And we know lots of times people do little hiccups, right? They make mistakes. They say things that don't feel good, and you have to be able to read through that and just say, "Oh my goodness, that was right. That wasn't needed, but that wasn't with intent to make me feel bad or make me feel unintelligent, like I had nothing to contribute, or made me feel like I didn't matter," right? Right. And sometimes when I talk about the judgmental, that's what I'm kind of moving towards, is because it's only in my own self defense, right? It's only in making sure that that I'm in a good space, that I'm around good people, that nobody's out to get me, nobody's out to get me. But that comes from my childhood. That comes from my dynamic upbringing, and it comes from choices that I made in my own need to stay safe, right? And we all do it. We all do that to some extent. But right, sometimes we have such a persona, such a character, that we can't bring ourselves to be anything but, because we've been that way for so long. If you've been that way for so long, then that's who you are. That's the genuine, right? That's the genuine. Because you are whoever you are in that moment, right? But that could change in a heartbeat. That could change in a thought. It's happened to me so many times. 100%. So I'm going to be exporting my video tonight. Oh, I also wanted to clear something out. If you guys happen to have been in my live last night, I was talking about my phone, what I did yesterday with my phone, and then I didn't finish the story, right? But I I I usually take my phone to my bed and plug it in when I go to bed. And I went into a panic mode because I couldn't find my phone. It wasn't in my purse, it wasn't on the counter, it wasn't on the table, it wasn't on my desk. And my phone is everything to me, right? And I went, "Oh my goodness." And I went into a little search mode, and guess where I found my phone? It was plugged in on my end table by my bed. I did not use my phone at all last night, at all yesterday, at all. I left it plugged in and sitting on the end table the whole day. And I went, "Oh my goodness, what if somebody was trying to get a hold of me?" And I picked up the phone. Of course, nobody did. But I was amazed that I went the entire day, because it was like midnight or after my live show last night that I had noticed that right? I didn't even unplug my phone and bring it to the desk in the morning, that I didn't even notice the whole day. I thought, pretty incredible for somebody who spends a lot of time, right, online, to actually, right, forget to even Check the email, check the weather even, right? To even check the weather. I usually check the weather, but yeah, that phone, it's just been that kind of couple of weeks. My routine has been switched out a little bit, right? It has been um, a little bit of a mix up compared to the way it usually is. But I think because that change is being called for, you know, let's get it all done at the same time. If it's going to be uncomfortable anyway, let's do it all. So that's why I said I'm going to try to come live. You know what? I'm not even going to try. I'm going to see if I can commit. But see if I commit. That's not committing, Cindy. I'm committing to 9 p.m. you guys to do my podcast. I'm going to 9 p.m. Central, and we'll see if I can do that. It's time to make a little bit of movement, a little bit of readjustment, be that little bit of an experiencer, but also be an experimenter in my own seeking, right? And that's interesting that I'm also, right? I'm an experiencer. I was brought up to be an experiencer, but in my heart, I'm a seeker. So in the moment, I think, right, those are some of the gifts is in the experiences. And I hope, next time around, if I come back as a seeker, that I would be curious enough about being an experiencer. And I think in this lifetime, in my connection with Mother Nature, I don't think it will be very easy for me not to be a bit of an experiencer now, right? I love life. I'm creating the best human being I possibly can. Okay, you guys, I'm jibber jabbering. I'm going to go to bed early tonight. And we're going to start the day fresh tomorrow. And like I said, if you want to come in tomorrow and watch my first video from this year's Provincial Park Tour 2025, right? I do this every September. I've been doing this for years and years and years. Um, you can check them all out. They're on my main page on my YouTube channel. You can find them all. And this year I got 4 different provincial parks. The first park we're doing is Blue Lake. So, yeah, let me know what you think of it, you guys. I appreciate that you popped in, Earl. Where have you been? Oh, you're 69. No, I'm not. I'm not married. I'm not married. I'm divorced. But I've been divorced for a very long time. Oh my goodness. How long has it been now? I'd have to say pretty close to 30 years now I've been divorced. I got divorced when I was 37 years old, and I never went down that route again. I went down a different route, a route that I probably would not have gone down if my marriage hadn't fallen apart. Life is what life is, right? These adapt and conquers riding the waves, and lots of times we woisy me because boy did I woisy me when my marriage fell apart, right? It threw me for a big loop, that one. But if that hadn't happened, I might not have been here, right? I might be busy doing laundry and cooking his lunch for work. You never know, right? It's always in our choices, right? And at that time, those were the choices that we made. And when you make a choice, change happens. And yeah, a lot of change since then. But 30 years is a long time too. You really look at it. 30 years is a long time. But it was a good marriage. It was a good marriage. Okay, you guys. This is the card. goodness, what were we talking about? We got this card, I think. I think we were out on our trip, but experience paid with, right? Paired with attention offers up gifts. Lots of times we have these experiences and we're going, oh no, like going down the roller coaster. Oh no. And then you miss the beautiful land cityscapes and the lights and being high in the sky, especially when it's like, something you don't do very often. I went on the roller coaster once and I never went on the roller coaster again. I went like 6 feet off of the roller coaster seat. And at that time, it was the Pacific National Exhibition in Vancouver, the P&E. And it was the wooden roller coaster. I don't think that roller coasters anymore. It wouldn't meet safety standards for sure. And actually, I remember as a child, my whole family taking us down to because we lived only, well, I'm not going to say a few blocks, but to me, it just seemed like a long way, maybe a mile or two away from the grounds. And we went and we watched that roller coaster go on fire. It didn't burn completely because I remember that they only partly repaired it. When they repaired it, they only had to repair part of it. But I remember that burning down. I remember my whole family going down to watch it be on fire. And I don't think it would have met safety standards. I don't think it's kicking or I don't think there's any wood roller coasters left. That's pretty dangerous, right? They don't even have those. Remember those twirly things in the parks? The kids would go and play on them, and they were just stainless steel, and they would have these bars, and you have to hold on to them. And a big circle, and then people would run and spin you around on those. Oh my goodness! I remember I got hurt so bad on those kid playgrounds. Oh my goodness, they were very dangerous. But then again, we built up resilience through that, right? We learned not to cry over the boo boos because there were boo boos every single day, right? But at the same time, do we really need to have boo boos? Do we need to break bones where in those cracks that the calcium can build up? And, 20 years later, we have rheumatoid arthritis because of these kid injuries that we had on unsafe playgrounds. No, this is change, right? Oh my goodness. And I went and I shuffled that card back in, didn't I? But we had the word experience tonight. Yeah, I did. I did. I shuffled it. I shuffled back in the cards. But it is very true, the experience, when we put our attention to the experience, that we can actually absorb information. We can discover new loves and desires, because when you see, like for me, when I went out on the back roads and I go for my country drives, and the way it would make me feel, right, it just made me want to do it more and more and more, right? And so, because I put my attention to it, that love just grew. Or can I say that love never died? Because if my attention wasn't in the experience, right? My evening walks is all a part of that, right? If I didn't go for my evening walks, would my connection with Mother Nature, would it dissipate? I suspect, right? Those gifts that species of, right? The trees, the ground, and right, nature itself, that it speaks to us and it interacts with us, but not with Cindy, right? Those other parts of me, because Cindy doesn't speak tree. We talked about this yesterday. I don't speak that language. I'm creating the best human being I possibly can, not the best interpreter of trees, though I love my trees, and you most people would consider me a little bit of a tree hugger, right? I don't necessarily hug trees, but I give them pets and I'll stand there and talk to them and stuff, right? But that's because I know that they're having an experience with me, right? Not Cindy, but those other parts of me and I think probably Cindy too, because I feel good doing it, right? I feel a connection when I do it. I don't feel I'm having a conversation or anything like that, but I do feel a connection in that. That just connection is just not with Cindy the human, right? And we were talking about it yesterday again, about how important it is to connect with the outdoors, right? If it's an outdoor sport, if you golf, if you like to go fishing, or you like boating, or whatever it is, right? That if you we can just make sure, even if you can just go out in the backyard and sit in your lawn chair, that that is enough, right? Because all you're trying to do, and you're not even trying, you don't have to try, it just comes to you. I couldn't even get out of my camp chair when I went on my camping trip. I was just like so sucked up into the experience that I had. I just sat in my camp chair and just like, oh, this is so amazing. Oh. And I did that for hours and hours, and that's the truth. But that's what, right? That wasn't for Cindy, right? Who's creating the best human being I possibly can be. I did that for myself because, right? I could have been doing something else. I could have been hiking down trails, walking along the beach, right? Using my new camp stove and creating something amazing, or reading my book, or there were so many things that I had at my disposal to experience when I went on that trip. Lots of times I just stayed in my camp and just enjoyed the fall colors and the view of the lake, and just doing nothing. But if that's what I was called to do, that was the experience I was going to have. And I can't question that, because I would have desired something else, right? I would have said, oh, well, next year we'll just do movies every night, or maybe we'll do a Broadway show. Maybe I'll hop on a plane and go somewhere new. But because I connect so much with the trees and the bushes and the air and the water and the animals, the squirrels and the chipmunks, and right, that all stays with me. That all stays with me. And I'm grateful that I love and enjoy something that all parts of me love. I feel just at home, right? That RV life when I retire is looking pretty good. 100%. Okay, you guys, that word was experience. I was all over the place tonight in my life, but it is what it is, right? That it just flows the way that it wants to flow. But I just wanted to um, just come in and just connect and let people understand how important it is to show up, right? And at 9 o'clock at night, right, right, people are still up. And maybe that was part of that, maybe self-sabotage. Oh, Cindy can just come in and do her live and nobody's up. She's just hanging out with herself, talking to herself, and anybody wants to watch can watch later. And this is amazing. Thank you, Earl and Hannah, right, for popping in tonight and hanging out with me. That was really, really nice of you. I am going to call it an evening. I made a cup of coffee for my live show, but I didn't even touch it. But I'm going to enjoy my coffee. Maybe I'll watch another little bit of um, content from Evie. I was really kind of um, curious by the fact that Evie Pamporas, I know I'm trashing her name, that she doesn't have her own YouTube channel. She definitely should have her own YouTube channel because she's absolutely everywhere. And she's just been doing the interview circuit. But, you know, she could maybe, if she didn't like, well, maybe she likes traveling, right? Maybe she likes meeting people and connecting and stuff and doing the interviews. For myself, I just like to come in and jibber jabber, right? Do my card, have my coffee, say hi to you guys, right? And share a little bit, right? In building that relationship that is unique because we're all unique. It takes all kinds to make the world 100%. You guys have a great night. See you.